Welcome to RogueTech, a mod overhaul on the BattleTech engine. Welcome back to RogueTech. So in the last episode, one of the last things I said was I looked at the mech bay and saw I could assemble a couple of mechs. And I wanted to go through and figure out whether or not I could actually, does it make sense? What does it look like? Should I scrap? Should I build and scrap? Should I build and sell? What should I do with all these mech pieces? What's the most economical thing to do? So this episode is going to be simply a discussion and going through that. I am not going to be recording any kind of mission here. Just talking about the mechs and scrap. So if this interests you, stay. If not, thanks. Catch the next episode. All right. So I created a save game that was a testing game, and this is everything I do here is not going to be in the original the campaign going forward. But I just want to take a look at this. So we looked in here, and we found that in storage, if I just look at light, so I'm going to take a test case, we have enough Jenner pieces to assemble a Jenner here. We got 3 here, 4, 5, and 6 pieces here, okay? All of these pieces can be used to build the Jenner. I also have 6 pieces of spider. 3 here, 1 here, 1 here, actually 5 pieces of spider. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the spider. So the very first thing I want to do here is I want to take a look at how much it takes to scrap. So I'm going to get 53,000. I'm going to go through some of these numbers, and I'll show you a little bit of a spreadsheet that I have that will show you these numbers in detail. But it's 53,000. This one over here is 66,000, and each of these pieces is 54,000. So call them 5,000 a piece. So that's 250,000. Okay. If I want to assemble this. Okay, so if I just scrap it outright, 250,000. If I want to assemble this, I have to pay to convert some of these parts over into the Spider V type mech chassis. In fact, I will not be making a Spider V. It's going to come out as a Spider C. So I'm going to be making a Spider variant I don't have. So that's one of my first beefs that I have is if I'm going to use all these pieces and pay to convert, then I should be able to get the variant of which I'm building. You need at least 3 parts of a variant to build the spider. So I can't go over here and take a Spider V and spend 4 different parts building up a Spider V. I have to have a majority of one type of spider before I can actually start using other pieces for it. Okay? So if I take this piece and this piece, you can see now I have enough. I can proceed, but it's going to cost me 119,000 cash just to put this thing together. Okay? So let's go ahead and confirm that.
That mech is ready to fight, Commander.
No, it isn't. And then let's go back into the mech bay, and here's our spider right here. So it's not ready. It's not ready at all. But if I just take that, so I have 250-ish thousand in scrap. I spent 120,000 putting it all together. So I've made something better, if you will. So we're thinking what, 370? 270. I'm going to lose 100,000. In fact, actually, the number comes out to 120,000 credits just assembling the spider before I scrap it. So if you're going to scrap the spider, don't bother putting the pieces together. Just scrap it. Now, this doesn't make sense to me if I go out into the used car market or if I'm like a mechanic and I go out and buy a bunch of pieces and I put together, I buy this Hulk and I build it back up again and put pieces on it. If I get it up and running, it's worth more than its associated pieces for scrap. I mean, that's just the way economics works. You put time into something, generally speaking, it's worth more value. So in this particular case, I didn't actually put any time into it. That was an instant build. Boom, it's together. All right, so I could scrap this if I wanted to, but it's 270,000. Okay? Maybe it's because this thing's a mess. That could be a reason why it's not worth anything, right? I mean, it's still not a functional mech. So what if I replace this? What if I fix everything here? So fixing this now is 154,000 credits. So I've spent 120 putting it together. I'm going to spend another 154 getting it up to being operational. So now I've spent 270. Effectively, I am net zero from what the scrap was worth. So at this stage, from what I could have scrapped it for, I have spent that much money instead. So economically speaking, if we went into some things, my opportunity cost in this whole thing is around 500,000 credits. Opportunity cost being how much money did I give up not doing something. So it's this, not scrapping it. I've given up 500,000 now getting to this point. So let's confirm this. I'll just get it functional.
Right. I'll get it in the schedule.
And there we go. We got it in the schedule. I'm going to manage my task. I'm going to put this thing up front, and I'm going to let the time go by, and we'll see what it looks like when it's done. Whatever. Just do the request. Don't care. No lasting consequences. You're telling me. So now I let these days. So now I've invested 8 days worth of time into this mech. Okay, so just the investment of time, if you look at I'm spending money on these engineers and the mech techs doing work. So if I look at that, 8 days, what, about a third? So we're somewhere like at a third of this. If I actually look at my finances, nope. My finances, is that it? Nope. Here we go. So if I look at my finances, do I have a cost for peoples? Cost for... I don't have a cost for actual people, so we can just take a look at the Argo cost. It's 90,000, and I have a little bit of an expense down here and some other stuff. Call it 92,000, 93,000. That's 31,000 I've spent now just on time investment into this mech. So now I'm a net negative 31,000, right? So now if I scrap it, it's 274. It's basically the same cost. It's the same amount if I scrap this repaired as if I scrapped it not repaired. Now this also does not make sense to me. I feel like there should be some kind of a modifier in here where, maybe there's a base value for the spider and it gets modified down based on how beat up it is. And that's not the case here. So if you're going to scrap it again, don't even spend any time on it. Right now we're still back to just scrap the damn parts. Okay? But maybe I'm just looking at this whole thing from the wrong perspective. Maybe this is a case of, well, of course, if you tear this thing apart, you bought it for parts, you're going to sell it for parts, there's no net change. You have to sell it to somebody to actually get some value out of it. So if I go into the store to sell this, that 274 on this mech, can't sell it. I have to go throw it back into storage. All right, so let's go do that. We'll take this spider. We'll stick him back into storage. No cost, no time. Fine. Go back down to the planet, take a look at the store, and say, hey, look, you know what? I got this thing in storage. I'm ready to sell to you if you'd like to buy it. 274. No net change between scrapping it and selling it. Again, not making sense in my brain. Game mechanics and economies do not match. So in this particular case, again, I've got a functional mech. There is some work to be done. You got to put an engine and some other stuff into there. But this is a stand-up mech. I mean, I can buy it and kit it out and go. So it should be worth at least its full base cost at this point. And the scrapping maybe is modified by, I don't know, you can go over here and take a look at the mech tech numbers here and say there's a slight modification based on how good your techs are. Personally, I feel like every mech tech should be fully qualified. The only impact here is time. So maybe if I'm going to scrap something here for pieces, then maybe modify it from that. And what am I talking about when I say scrap it for pieces? Well, if you go back into storage and you look at my mech, here he is, right? He's in storage. If I go to scrap him, 274, 88, I can sell it for parts, or I could keep the parts. I just put this thing together. I fixed it all up. Hey, what if I just, you know what? I don't like it. I want to keep my parts. I get anywhere from 2 to 4 parts. I got lucky this time. The first time I did this, I got 2 parts back. I feel like that variance is too extreme. You know, I've taken this thing. It's in perfect working condition. Taking it apart, maybe I sacrifice a part. If it's beat to hell, I could see modifying that down and say, you know what, this thing's really beat up. If you want more parts, you're going to have to fix it first and then scrap it. You know, so base this not on a random 2 to 4 roll. Base this on the state of the mech. The more beat up the mech, the less parts I can get out of it when I scrap it for parts. Okay, so now I'm looking at this going, Yeah, I only get 4 parts out of this. And now if you notice, these are all Spider V parts. The last time, like I said, I put this thing together, I had Spider Cs. I didn't look at the variant, actually, when I was selling it. But when I did it before, it was a C. So now I'm back at the point now where I'm scrapping each of these for 54,000. Now I'm at 200,000. So this whole exercise cost me the $50,000 or 50,000 credits in the initial scrap potential, because I have 4 pieces instead of 5. I spent 120 assembling it. I spent another 150 repairing it. So, in all overall, this whole exercise cost me 300,000 credits. So, long story short, the only thing I don't have here is I don't have a mech sitting in the store that I can compare it to. That would be nice to see how much this thing costs. But if I'm not mistaken, the last time I've seen these things, they're running around 100 and something thousand, 200,000. I mean, 2 million, right? 100 million, 200 million, somewhere in there. So even given this discrepancy of like the medium pulse is 435, if I try to sell a pulse, do I have one? I have 20% variance in my expense. That needs to be able to be modified a bit by a few things. I don't feel like the reputation is quite effective enough. So from an economics point of view, this game is totally broken on its economy. It's just messed up. I can't even consider ever being, if you will, a merchant. I have no choice but to be a merc, primarily, first, foremost, and forever. It would be nice if I could be a merc primarily and a little bit of a merchant on the side. You know, let me go down and earn 100,000, 200,000 on a mission, and then maybe gain another 50,000 on my mercantile capabilities. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm just selling off scrap at a horrible discount and getting screwed every time I sell something. I feel like that balance is a little broken. It's a bit broken. And especially when we get into looking at the mech and its repairs here. I feel like if I'm going to spend some of my mech tech time assembling a unit, I should get a reward, if you will, for doing that. I should see an economic return in my efforts to collect the pieces, put them together, fix it up. I should see an economic improvement in each one of those steps, and I don't. Really, all this is as soon as I see the parts, throw the shit out. So that's the whole thing in the breakdown. Again, I was looking at possibly using, assembling a 35-ton mech for future use as one of my scouts, like to swap out the mongoose, which is kind of crunchy. I was thinking about swapping that sucker out, and I am. I put together the fire starter for that. So the fire starter is either going to take the part of the spider, which is the scout, and then the spider will get reconfigured as the mongoose, which is a quick attack unit. And I look at the mobility here. What do I got? 6v6 v6. So all these have pretty much the same speeds. Is that true? 280, 165. And I can't see this one until he comes back out. But he's got a 210 core. He's got a 175 core. So I would say that this guy's probably as fast as the mongoose. So, and he's got he's got 3 jump jets in him, and this one's got the 5. That's the other thing. Looking at the jump jets, the numbers are all wonky. I don't know why that is. This says I can mount 13 jump jets, but I can't. I can only mount 5 max. I'm at max. So there's a piece that's broken right there for, I think that's a RogueTech break. I don't think that's a BattleTech break. Anyway, back to the statement at hand. In summary, if you are going to save parts because you want to build a mech, save the parts. That's a functional, tactical decision around what I want to throw on the battlefield. And when that comes around, cost is secondary. Your tactical decision is primary. Your strategic decisions are primary. If it's coming to just cash, just start scrapping all the parts. You don't need all these parts if you're not going to use them. You know, if I look at this and say, you know what, I'm never going to put a Clint on the field, I've got 2 of them already. I'm not going to put any more. Just scrap them. Get the cash. Right? I mean, here, if I know I'm not going to be throwing any more spiders or locusts or anything else down, just scrap them. So, plan that out. Me personally, one of the things I think this is going to do for my future is I'm going to look at my desired build and class. So, what do I want to build out in lights, mediums, heavies, assaults? I'm going to store that stuff, those parts for that target that I want to get to, or at least something that can fulfill the role. Like, for example, here, I might feel like the Jenner and the spiders can fulfill the role that I want, but this commando is crap. The Owens I don't want. The Panther I'm not going to use. And if that's the case, then I go in there, just scrap all these for the cash. Just grab this stuff and go, yeah, nope, just scrap them all. Just get rid of them. I don't need them. It's all good, thanks. And the reason, again, you're going to want to store that, scrap all that, is if we get down here into the captain's quarters, look at the finances, there is storage costs, right? There's costs for stuff in storage, and then there's gear and storage. 3173. Let's go back into Mech Bay. 3173, right? That was my number. Again, this is a test, so we will just say I don't want any of these things. Oh boy. I'm just going to scrap all this stuff out. So I just scrapped out that stuff. Remember, it was 3173. Let's go back in here and take a look. 3173. So the pieces, that's good to know. The pieces in storage don't cost me. No, wait, that does. There's cargo and back parts. 158 tons. So it's just tonnage. 2717. Let's go back in here and scrap some of the medium stuff.
Nice to see you down here in the hole.
2717. We'll scrap those. Scrap that. Scrap that. Was it 2117, right? Yeah. So you're going to be paying by the ton. What is it, 75 tons? So it's about 10 credits per ton of whatever you got in there. So if you're looking to reduce your monthly costs, you could do that. Again, cargo units, you're going to be paying for that. What is 109.31? It's like 3,000, right? 330 credits a unit. See, if that's 1 credit a unit, it'd be 110. No, it's 100. That's 300 per unit. Wow, really? 300 per unit? 109, 3173. Here's my numbers, by the way. 109, 31,730 or something like that, right? So yeah, it's around 100 credits per unit, or 300 credits per unit. That's pretty expensive. It's cheaper to keep the other stuff in storage. So there's some more economic news that we've got. Storage here is about 10 per ton. And I'm assuming that this stuff here is, what is that? That's 55, 45. Could probably sum this whole thing up, right? 150, 250, 350, 315, 315. Let's go back in here and look at this. 315. And this says 775. 75 tons? Really? It's not what I'm seeing. Oh, I know why. They're talking about the base tonnage. So a Kentaru sitting on the ground has a max capacity of 55, but its base parts are not 55. All right, I get that. And then component-wise, again, we've got a whole bunch. We know what that is. It's 300 per. So it's 75, which is a chump change compared to everything else that you've got going. The gear is 30,000. It's 5%. So you can mess around with a 5% number over here. So it's basically the same as having a person. Okay. So now, as far as the gear goes, don't be stingy, but don't be a hoarder either. I mean, that's basically the lesson here is in your storage, when you're keeping all your gear, back here again, when you're keeping all your components, you know, don't feel like I'm like, oh crap, you know what, I think I don't need this many. I'm gonna sell one of these. Don't go there. You know, if you've got 15 LRM5s, and you're like, you know, I'm never going to use an LRM5 in my life. Sell 11 of them, keep 4. You know, always have a few sitting in your inventory for variabilities and, you know, messing around with different builds. And being able to look at one of these things while it's sitting there is advantageous. All right, so then we're done with all the mech-based stuff, I think. If you have any other tips around that, let me know. I will say that as far as the sales go, I find that if I look at a part, they were running around 50,000-60,000. And when I'm in salvage, when I look at, where are my engines? When I look at salvage, engines are by far much more valuable. This is a full mech. If I scrap, that's crazy. I'm just thinking about this. That spider is worth less, just about, than this one engine core. Really? Is that what we're saying? I tell you, the economics of BattleTech is broken, and certainly maybe RogueTech as well is broken. So yeah, if you're on the battlefield and you're looking for cash, grab engine cores, man. Just grab engine cores. All right. Well, enough of me chatting at you. I'm going to go back. I'm going to load up my original campaign that we just messed up here playing around with this stuff. I'm going to go load up that campaign. We're going to go do something. As far as what I'm going to do, I've got escort, a target acquisition, a battle, and a battle. I'm thinking I'm going for a battle now. I want to knock off these half skull missions. The escort should actually be not bad. It's a lance going in to get them, right? And a lance on the way out. Or possibly 2 lances on the way in and 1 on the way out. Something like that. But it breaks up the lances, so you don't have to hit them all at once. So I like that. Over here in the 1 skull range, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. I got a destroy base, an ambush convoy, a defend base, and a battle. Absolutely going to do the 2 defend bases. You know, those are, to me at least, if you maneuver around your the turrets and you maneuver around all of the APCs, you can minimize how many times you take fire, and thereby, especially if you're built for offense, up the tonnage of what you can engage, because all that tonnage is blowing up, you know, miscellaneous APCs and turrets while you're taking those things down. All right, we'll see you in the next episode. Take care. Bye bye.
Creeping through the shadows in the corners of your mind. I go where the wind blows. I run but I don't hide. I hear the call of the wild, whispering the name. No, I can't be tamed. My heart belongs to the night. I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. 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 I'm a